Hey there, it's Diane Forster, and welcome to I Have Today, the show that inspires, empowers, and educates you. And each week on this show, we talk about the art of intentional living. And today, I have a very special guest in the studio with me, and we're going to take on the topic of divorce recovery. So, ladies, where do you start after divorce? And my belief is, well, you can go one of two ways. You can either be bitter or you can be better. And my guest today is a divorce expert. Her name is Wendy Sterling, and she's a top divorce media personality, international divorce healer and coach, life transition specialist, and founder of a company called the Divorce Rehab. We're going to get into Wendy's story and how she's helping and serving so many people through divorce with her amazing products and services. But before we do that, let me first share with you our intention statement. So, our intention statement this week is I have today to recover from the past and create a wonderful future. I have today to recover from the past and create a wonderful future. You know, it doesn't matter what has happened to you, all of it's been valuable. It's all provided a lot of clarity, a lot of focus, a lot of direction, a lot of resilience, a lot of memories, good or bad, and it all has value. And so you can take whatever has happened to you in your past, recover from anything, and I mean anything. And our focus is on divorce today. And you can create a wonderful new future. Not only has my guest, Wendy, done that, but I've done it too. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to have her on the show, because Wendy and I have such parallel stories and backgrounds. And when we first got connected and we first met, I said, she said, I need to have you on my show. And I said, I need to have you on my show. So that's what we're doing. We're serving each other's audiences in a really great way. And I'm really excited to have her here and talk about this. Now, why do we do intention statements? Because the show is about the art of intentional living. And if you want to live an intentional life, then you got to set intentions. And so what we do here is we give you that weekly intention statement to allow it to be your affirmation for the week, your statement for the week, and your intention for the week. And if you start saying, I have today to recover from the past and create a wonderful future all week long, you're going to start really anchoring that. Your subconscious is going to start believing it, and you will start experiencing that in your life. And so what we do to make it easier on you is we create wallpapers on my Instagram page. So if you go to Diane Forster Official, you will find my Instagram page, and there's a little button right here that says wallpapers, and there they are. And so each week, my amazing team creates these beautiful wallpapers. So just screenshot it, use it as your screensaver. So every single time you look at your phone, which is well over 1,000 times a week, imagine seeing that statement 1,000 times during the week. Do you think it would start to become a part of your life? Yes, absolutely. So that's what we do for you. So that's our intention statement. All right. Now, what I also want to do is I want to share a little story with you before I get into the interview with Wendy. But before I do that, let's hear a word from one of our sponsors. Take it away. This week's episode of I Have Today is brought to you by the Spifter. The Spifter is a fun sifting spoon that makes cooking, baking, and decorating with sugars and spices so much fun. No more mess or wasting your spices. It's fast, clean, and easy. Everything looks and tastes delicious. It's also great for straining loose tea, getting pesky broken cork out of your wine glass, and draining liquid off food like olives and capers. Whether you're a novice cook or a gourmet chef, you'll love the results. The Spifter, the kitchen gadget that no kitchen should be without. All right. So where you can find our show every week is we are on E360 TV. We're also on Facebook Live and YouTube. All of those called I Have Today with Diane Forster. We're live every Monday at 11:03 a.m. Pacific time. Yes, we know it's a funky time. That's just the time that we start on the network. So if you want to catch us live, that's where we do it. So mark your calendar, because I'm always bringing on amazing guests and sharing amazing content with you to allow you to live to your highest, greatest, fullest potential. And so that you're living with intention. So it's a life by design instead of by default. Now, the other places you can catch it are on all the streaming platforms where E360 TV is available. So Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, Android, and all the other ones. E360 TV network is the main platform. So if you go over to YouTube or my Facebook, feel free to rate, review, subscribe, do all the things so that you will be alerted every time we have a new episode out. And plus, you can catch all of our episodes, which there are hundreds of them. So that would mean the world to me. Now, perhaps you like listening instead. We have our podcast, which is available on iTunes and all the podcast streaming platforms, including Alexa. I can't say it loud because she's in the room and she'll start talking to me. So however you consume content, we have it there available for you. Okay. So now before I bring on Wendy, I just wanted to share a quick little thing about divorce and my journey. And normally I do magical manifestation moments. This isn't really a magical manifestation moment. I just wanted to share, and I know Wendy and I will talk about this too, that I personally stayed stuck in a marriage and a relationship for 24 years. I was married for 20 of those years, and I knew it wasn't right. I kept struggling. I kept hoping it would get better, all the things, and all of those things that I kept hidden inside of me and nobody else in the world knew because I didn't talk about it, because the packaging of my life looked so good, led to my suicide attempt 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago now. Now, if you would have told me 10 years ago that I'd be doing what I'm doing today, I would have said, you are crazy. There is no way. My life looks totally different. And this goes back to the bitter or better. I used that experience to declare that I was unwilling to live a subpar life anymore. And I was unwilling to put my happiness and my fulfillment on hold anymore. And I took the sign that I got from the universe the night of my suicide attempt very, very seriously. And I took action. And if you're in a situation where you might be suicidal right now or teetering on the edge of it, as a functional person with depression, or a functional person with anxiety, or a functional person with alcoholism, or fill in the blank, or for whatever that thing is that you're trying to fill yourself with, this episode is for you. I'm speaking to you because I would not be where I am today without help and support, and why I'm so devoted to this show and this channel and this network is to help you know that you are not alone and that you have support out there, which is why I'm going to bring on the amazing Wendy Sterling to share how she's helping so many women recover from divorce. So with that, let's bring on Wendy Sterling.
Hello.
Hi, Wendy. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing really, really well. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to have you here in the studio, here on the show today. We are live. It's a beautiful day to be alive, right?
Absolutely. It's a gorgeous day. It's Monday. We are in full-blown spring. It's a great day. Life is now.
Yep. Life sure is now. All right. Before we get into the interview, I want to just share with our audience a little bit about you. Wendy Sterling is a top divorce media personality, international divorce healer and coach, life transition specialist, and founder of the Divorce Rehab. She helps newly divorced women who are having trouble moving forward and tired of feeling stuck, pain, resentment, anger, and guilt to find joy, self-worth, and freedom. Wendy has been featured on NBC, The List, Thrive Global, Medium, and Hello Divorce, and has been a guest on the Divorce Survival podcast, Moms Moving On, and the Divorce and Beyond podcast. She's also a speaker, host of the Divorce Women's Guide podcast, an author, an advanced theta healer, and mom to her two amazing boys. Welcome, Wendy. Wow, great,
Thank
great,
you.
great bio.
Thank you. I always am
Yeah.
like, "Wait, who are you talking?" Oh, yeah, that's me.
Yes.
Still, I feel very fortunate for the work I get to do.
Yes, yes, yes. So, all right. Well, I mean, let's get right into it. I mean, I really know that I want to hear, and the audience wants to hear your story. How did you become this divorce recovery expert? What was your journey?
Yeah, I'd love to share my story. So, to start out, I mean, I do believe that divorce can be the most empowering experience that we go through to truly wake ourselves up and see that we have lost our identity and voice. And so, divorce is really that catalyst that enables us to find it, stand in the power of it, reclaim it, and start creating a life that you choose instead of feeling stuck in the one that your ex has left you with. And so the way that I have been able to realize that is obviously through my own story. And, it takes me back to, oh my goodness, it's been almost 5.5 years ago now where, my ex and I were living that Facebook facade life that everyone on the outside thought was perfect. We had the perfect marriage, the Wisteria Lane house, we just looked so perfect to everybody on the outside. But what was really going on the inside was a world of depression and anxiety, to people who had known each other since they were 18 and were ships in the night, more like roommates, living by their kids' sports and school schedules, and really just becoming disconnected from one another. And while the writing was on the wall, I chose not to see it until a night that we went out with another couple and we were driving home very late at night. I live in Los Angeles. So imagine, summer night, windows are down, music is playing, we're heading over the canyon. And all of a sudden, we're talking, we're singing. And all of a sudden, his phone rings, not once, but 5 times from a female colleague. And all of a sudden, I got this punch in my gut like I've never felt in my life. And I remember just saying to myself, like, what the heck is this? And I remember asking him, like, why aren't you picking up the phone? And he just made up every excuse known to man. And so we got home. I confronted him. He denied it. And it really wasn't until the next day when I decided to lean into my intuition from that night and realized that my worst fear came true. And that was that he was indeed having an affair with this woman. And at the time, I didn't know for how long, and came to realize it was for quite some time. And it was really in that moment that I realized that I had completely and utterly surrendered every ounce of who I was to this man. And it wasn't necessarily something that I was conscious to, because it was taught to me as a little girl. Understand that I come from a line of Holocaust survivors, so I am first generation born here in the US. So when my family came here, it was all about acclimation, it was all about being American and fitting in and not standing out. And so I felt obligated to live into this version of Wendy that I was intended, that other people saw me being, that others wanted me to be, instead of really standing out and being who I was. And I remember even as a little girl, I had opinions. I was, the tomboy. My sister was she was the pretty princess. And here I was, the tomboy. And I just was everything but the image that my family probably saw for me. And so I learned to silence myself and to just become what others thought. And I definitely I perpetuated that in my marriage. And it wasn't until that moment that I realized that I didn't have to do that anymore, that I actually had a choice. And so while I was in therapy, and actually my now ex-husband and I were in couples therapy, I realized that I was spending a lot of time worrying about who I was and what my past, quote unquote, did for me. I really needed help focusing on the future. And it wasn't until I discovered the world of life coaching from a friend's Facebook post, right? The universe hands us signs, and I happened to have my eyes wide open at the time and I paid attention. And so I reached out because I was curious, and something in me just said, this is for you. And after a phone call, I not only hired a coach, I also decided, what the hell, go big or go home. Let's figure out what this world looks like. If nothing else, it'll help me because you see, I was an executive in corporate. I had built a 20-year career, and I thought, well, if anything else, this is going to help me elevate my career. Little did I know that over the course of just a 3-day a 3-day weekend being taught coaching methodologies, that I moved through more of the emotions surrounding my divorce than I had the entire 8 months before in therapy. And I thought, holy crap, there is something amazing and special about this that I need to bring into this world. Like, my divorce is happening for me. And so it was really through discovering that. I also started taking spiritual psychology courses. I did energy healing, and all these different modalities really supported me in the emotional, mental, and physical aspects that I needed to help me get through with one of the most traumatic experiences of my life. And as a result of all of that, not only did it enable me to get the power, the strength, and the courage to tell my now ex-husband that I wanted a divorce, it also gave me the strength and power to see that I was meant for more, and it was time for me to really stand out and start doing what I was meant to do, which was to be an entrepreneur. So I also walked away from my 6-figure paycheck, my 20-year career, and said, I'm out of here. I got to help women because this is something that I know a lot of people could benefit from. And that's where the Divorce Rehab came from. And that's how I created my proprietary 5-step program. And so ultimately, what I do is I help women to see their divorce as an empowering experience to reclaim their identity and voice. And it's been just the most incredible journey so far. And the ability that I have to help these people to accelerate their healing process versus doing it alone just fuels my energy. It fuels my soul. And it's beautiful to see the transformations that I get to be a part of.
There's so much richness in all of that. Thank you for sharing so vulnerably. And I am telling you, I mean, the similarities in our lives, the
Yeah.
parallels, just blow me away, from the affair to talk therapy really not being the thing that worked for you once you started coaching. Same thing for me. I started down that path with talk therapy too, and which was a good transition. It really helped me, but it could only take me so far because I was not interested in rehashing the same stuff over and over. I wanted to move on. And so from that 3-day experience, that's what you got out of it, which is such a gift. And you also touched on, the appearances of the
Yes.
way things are, which I want to go to first before we get any further. I want to dig deeper into this because I think this is the number one thing that we can share with women out there who are feeling like we did, stuck. I'm No one knows, what would life look like? How could I survive? I think that is the most important thing that we could talk about. So, what would you say to her who's out there? Because we know she's out there. What would you say the number one thing she should do is, or the number one lesson that you learned by going through this transformation?
Yeah, I so badly wanted to believe the world that I was portraying to everybody. And so I was so determined to portray, we had the perfect perfect, I say with air quotes, right? Family pictures on Facebook, and all my friends would be like, "Oh my god, how do you get your kids to smile? How do you?" I'm like, "Do you know, like I was like, smile, like this has, I was so I just wasn't present to anything." And so the first thing I would say is to start really noticing if you're in that place of really wanting to be in control of things that you don't have control over, right? Where you're fighting really hard to portray something to everybody else that isn't really what's truly going on behind closed doors. I will tell you that my ex-husband and I were the last couple. Like everyone said, "Oh my God, if this happened to them, this is going to happen to us," because they were so in love. They were so this, they were so that. And we were anything but that. And I realized how inauthentic I was all the time. Like I didn't ever I felt like I was acting, I felt like I was pretending. And so, what I would go back and say to myself and to say to everybody out there, because the number one thought that I had, and I know that all my clients do and women who are in this place have, is we get so fearful of the embarrassment and the shame surrounding divorce. Well, no one's going to talk to me again. What are they going to say about me? Oh my God, my kids. What are the rumors that my kids are going to hear about what's going on? And so we get so afraid of what we think is going to happen, right? We story tell in our minds that we get so afraid of, the what ifs. And that winds up becoming more important than what's truly going on inside of your heart. And what I can say is that I wish that I had acted sooner. And after having, made the discovery, it took me kind of a year of working through stuff to really make sure that this was the right choice. And there was a long time where I was also wanting to stay together for the sake of my kids, because I was like, oh my God, my kids are going to be embarrassed. Like their parents are divorced. None of our friends are divorced. What are people going to say about them? And it wound up always being about somebody else. And what I have learned is most important is if you're not whole, if you're not showing up happy, then everybody around you is miserable. I say now that two happy homes are way better than one home of misery, tension, negative energy. And I think that, it kind of helps, right? The divorce rate is close to 50%. And, it's families look different now. I think, if anything, now is the least embarrassing time, right? Because there's so many different versions of what family looks like. And divorce is more common than we think it is. It may not necessarily be overly prevalent in your world, but it is in the world outside of you.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So much of what I went through too, and I know so many people you did, you just echoed it, is we're so concerned about what other people are going to think, including our kids. Now, I'm going
Yes.
to be real here. You Those of you out there that are staying together for your kids, you are not doing them a favor. They're smart. They feel the energy. You're exemplifying an example of what marriage should not look like. If they grow up seeing that and think that's what marriage is, guess what they're going to model. They're going to do that. And I also did the same thing as you. I kept it hidden for so long until obviously I couldn't. And I found out about my former husband's affair, and it had been going on for a while. And we made a plan for him to leave. And once all that happened, without getting into the details because I'm so far past it, then it was time to tell everybody. And Wendy, that was the hardest thing. Oh my God, I got to tell. Oh my God, I got on the train and this neighbor of mine got on. And I needed to tell her, and like I did not want to be stuck on a train and and telling her this. But the point is, what I discovered is all of that worry and fear and guilt and shame was wasted time because all I got was love and support. I mean, everywhere. And the few people that might talk about you or might make you feel bad, first of all, it's a moment. It doesn't make it true. It only makes it true for them, not for you. And people aren't sitting around talking about you. You might be today's news, but tomorrow you're yesterday's, and it's not even a factor anymore. It's so we get so hung up on what is everybody else going to think instead of what's truly true for you, right? What's true for me. And the divorce rate, as you said, is 50% for first marriages. It's in the 60% for second marriages. And the reason that is because most people don't do the work that you're teaching. They're not out using their lives to better themselves. Stop pointing the finger, stop blaming. Now, you and I both had betrayal, right? There was
Yes.
infidelity in it. But you and I both know on some level that, our energies aligned. We were with these partners for a reason. There was something else there. And that we certainly did, whether we like it or not, contribute to the demise of those relationships by
100%.
ignoring or pretending or whatever. This is very, very common. And not that it's justified what happened, but that is the result, not the cause.
Yes.
I'm going to say 99.99% of the time, it is the result, not the cause. Could be one way on one side. I don't want to say 100%, maybe 95, because there are those few exceptions, but they are far and few between. And especially if a relationship's been going on for a long time. So what I now want to address is, there are women out there who are married with children, and I'm going to speak to those first, because that is truly the hardest breakup to have because of all the guilt. I'm not saying two people who are married who don't have children don't have a struggle, but it's a lot easier to separate that relationship than it is when children are involved. And so wherever you are in your journey, if you're contemplating this, or you're headed down this path, or you really want it, you need it, you have no choice, but your kids are younger. Like there's different timelines for things. And I know it seems harder. What advice do you have for somebody who's got like grade school age children out there?
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, a lot of people think, oh, if I'm just going to wait until the kids go to college and then it'll be easier then. And honestly, what I have seen is that it is way harder when your kids are older. The reason being, and Diane, I'd love for you to weigh in on this, but my experience, what I have seen is that the older your kids are, the harder it is for them, because they are entering into adulthood. They are trying to figure out who it is that they are now without being a part of mom and dad, right? They're living on their own. They're trying to figure out what they want to do with their life. And the security of knowing who they've been is typically rooted in the dynamics of the family that they grew up in. And so when divorce is added on as a layer on top of that, it winds up becoming even harder for them, because this foundation that they're building their identity from as an adult is now gone, right? So it's almost similar to what those of us divorcees are going through, right? Where the rug of our life is being pulled out from underneath us, and we're like, whoa, wait a second, now who am I?
Right.
Versus with our kids that are younger. My boys were 7 and 10 when we separated. And I had the same thought. I'm like, oh my God, they're going to hate me. They are going to hate their dad. We are ruining their life. They're going to be in therapy forever. And what I have studied and, have seen even firsthand is that our kids are very resilient. And as long as we are being, reinforcing that we love them, that this has nothing to do with them, that grown-ups have their own problems. And sometimes the problems can't get solved. And it's better for mommy and daddy to not be living together than to be living together. And at the time, of course, they're devastated and they're upset. And what I know is most important is by just loving them and listening to them and letting them cry and letting them have their emotions. My now ex-husband and I, we made sure we put them in therapy, because I knew that there were things that they needed to talk about that it wasn't safe to talk about with me. It wasn't safe to talk about with dad, because I know that they wanted to talk about me. I know that they wanted to talk about their dad. And so what he and I committed to were two things. Number one, we never badmouth the other in front of the kids, even though, yes, there was infidelity on my end. I despised the ground he walked on. I didn't want to talk to him. I didn't want to interact with him, but we had kids, so I didn't have a choice. So I put that face on. And so number one was not bad mouthing the other. And number two was we agreed on they need to be in therapy because we can't, like, we're trying to navigate this on our end. And yes, I can manage my kids' emotions, but I can't manage the full weight without putting myself into the mix, right? So it's really important that you make sure that your kids are supported in a way that doesn't add your burden to what their experience is. Kids that are even younger, well, I have clients whose kids are, under the age of 3 that they're not going to remember mom and dad together, right? So you have this beautiful opportunity to start creating a new life, creating a new dynamic with your kids. And to be honest, I've gotten closer with my boys since our divorce and separation because I'm a single mom. Like when it's me, it's all me. And I've been able to really connect on a deeper level with my kids instead of just being on this hamster wheel of life, just trying to get through each day. I'm actually now really invested in what they're doing because all the animosity, all the pain, all the issues that my ex and I had, just they aren't in the room anymore. So it really, I hear that the kids age as a reason, as a story, and that's all it is. It's yours. But I've witnessed firsthand the harder impact on older children than younger.
Definitely, for sure. And you said one key point. This is for everybody. I'm going to reiterate it. Love on them, love on them, love on them, love on them. Do not badmouth the other person because they are half you and half them. And when you say
Exactly.
something negative about that other person, your spouse, your ex, they take it in and that bruises them. So they start feeling that what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Um,
Or if mom says that about dad, she probably thinks that about me.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yes. So this is so powerful. I'm also going to, and then I want to get into your rehab, your acronym of your program, that it is, the sooner the better. Not that you want to get divorced, like rushing into a divorce. If you two have mutually decided, you know what, this isn't working, or you did, he still wants you, but you're done. I might try some therapy. I might talk to somebody. I might coaching, whatever. But if you are done, you need to come to a resolution as best as you can that that you protect the children at all costs, and all you do is love on them because they are going to go through they're going to cycle through emotions. My twins will be 25 this year. I mean, they're adults and they still have these like rare moments. They're, very well adjusted, but same thing. We put them in therapy. They both at different times in their lives, went to therapy again for transitions, because the last thing you want to do is pull the rug out from under your kid. That time of life, like if you wait till the kids go to college, they're already going through so much transition there. Everything, their whole entire world changed. They're now responsible for so many things. And then you do this and go, wait, the home that I thought I was going back to and had to go back to isn't anymore, or someone's missing from it, or now I have two homes. It really does mess with them because our brains, I don't know why I'm feeling the need to say this, but I'm getting a download that they are not capable, particularly boys, really aren't fully developed in the brain until like 25 years old. That's
Mhm.
why they say, don't do drugs or anything like that because of it. They don't have the capacity to do it. So they're going to experience emotions, boys and girls, but more boys, that they won't be able to articulate.
Right.
So the sooner you honor yourself become the whole you, heal from this experience, do it together in a loving way, the better off they're going to be. And you teach your kids how to be, you teach your kids how they're going to accept to be treated by the way you are allowing people to treat you, right?
Exactly. Lead by example, right?
Yeah. 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 Okay. So will you go into the rehab formula?
Sure, I'd love to. So, yeah, I created my 5-step proprietary program from the acronym Rehab. So, the R is all about reclaiming your identity and voice. And the way that I believe that we do that is through two different avenues. Number one, discovering what your values are. And number two, based on those values, what boundaries do you get to start setting in your life? So once you realize what your values are, right? Values are things like respect, honesty, connection, love, communication, the understanding what you can't live without. I do a really in-depth dive with my clients around what their true top values are. And it was something that I was clueless to. And immediately, once I discovered my values, I immediately knew who I was again, because I'm thinking back to all these different experiences and I'm like, wait a second. I was not honoring this value by making this decision. I was not honoring that value by making that choice. And so, like, all of a sudden, I was starting to realize why I felt so much dissonance in my body, in my marriage, in all of my relationships, even with my kids. And from there, once I figured out what my values were, I realized that I was a people pleaser and that I didn't set boundaries with people because I was so afraid of what they would think of me. I would be afraid of what the retaliation would be. I had abandonment issues. And when I started really understanding and learning and teaching about what boundaries are, is they're rules and guidelines that you share with other people to help them know how it is that you feel are safe and permissible ways to interact with you. And
Yeah.
it's so incredibly important as you are discovering again, right? Because who you are is in you. You just kind of lost it. It's that flame inside that you're trying to kind of brighten back up again and leverage what you've been through over however many years, decades of experiences that you've had. But it's about reigniting that light. And if you're not able to separate yourself from others, and if anyone's like me, like I was in a codependent marriage with a man who has narcissistic characteristics, and I didn't know where I ended and he began. We
Yeah.
were talked about in a run-on sentence. It was always Wendy and James, Wendy and James, Wendy and James. It was never Wendy, it was never James, it was Wendy and James.
Yeah.
And so I would always look to him, and it was this eye-opening experience all of a sudden where I was like, oh wait, I get to tell people what feels good to me. This is amazing. And so as you start learning that, you step into a place of living your truth. And in order to get there, you have to silence those negative voices. And you do that through the E, which is ending your victim mindset, ending your pity party. Okay. It doesn't mean that you're not allowed to feel whatever is coming up. You have to feel through. That's the shortcut. Okay. Feeling through is the shortcut to the other side of living your best life. And so until you're able to end your victim mindset where you're constantly pointing the finger, well, you did this, well, you did that, and you. Okay. And how, you said this before, Diane, you get to start understanding that marriages take two people. Okay. So you get to start taking responsibility for 100% of your 50%. Okay. So I don't take responsibility for the choices that my ex husband made. I take responsibility for the choices that I made, the ways I reacted, the feelings I never communicated. That's on me. And had I communicated, now listen, I'm not saying my marriage would have been saved, but I'm saying I would have come from a more authentic place. We would have been able to solve our problems in a more efficient manner. We would have had, I would have been respectful in my words? So until you stop handing out those invitations to your pity party, you're not going to be able to move through. And so a lot of times the pity party and the victim mindset just comes from a place of fear. And so it's really important for you to see that it's just that, right? Fear means false evidence appearing real, and it's not, and it's appearing real because you're making up stories.
Yes.
And so you have to get down into the root of, wait a second, okay, mindfulness, what does this mean? What am I saying? What is the truth in all of this? And just to come back to a place of realizing what is assumption and what is fact. Because until you're able to do that, it's hard to step into the H, which is all about healing your wounds. So, marriage comes with a whole host of grief. It is mourning the loss of the marriage, mourning the loss of, for me, my best friend, my soulmate, mourning the loss of the dreams of the life we were creating, of the financial security, of, retirement, of traveling. Our boys, had big events coming up. Well, now we were not going to be a married couple at those events, and so there's all these different aspects that until you come to a place where you feel through that those dreams are not, the dreams are going to be different. Okay. It's not that the dreams are gone. You get to reimagine that. And until you're able to really step into a place of self love and to really start taking care of yourself as you're healing. So, self care doesn't mean going to the spa. I mean, it's great self care, but in this case, self care is really about listening to what your thoughts are without judgment, speaking to yourself as you would your best friend, and to really care, like, love on yourself, learn to love all the things about yourself as you're going through the motions of healing what's happening and what you're going through. A big part of why we're unable to do that is because we have such low self-esteem, such low self-worth, that we start, the healing process winds up becoming a, kind of a like a Debbie Downer party, right? It becomes you defaming yourself, right? I'm stupid, I'm a failure, I'm this, I'm that. No, the marriage failed. Okay. And you have the opportunity at any time. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how many years you were married. I don't care how many months it's been since your divorce. You have the opportunity to change and to shift. And the only person standing in your way is yourself.
Yeah.
And so to get through the healing process, you really need to work on these steps that I've said, is really through, the self-care, which enables you to really start building back your self-esteem, your self-worth, your self-confidence. And from there, you're able to move into the A, which is all about acceptance through accountability. So the acceptance piece is really, a lot of people have a hard time with what that means, but the way that I like to define it is, it's acceptance that your life is where it's at, acceptance that you have created the life that you are now stepping into. You are where you are as a result of your actions. So taking ownership, right? Taking ownership of the life that you have created up until now, and having somebody hold you accountable for your 50%, right? 100% of your 50%. And we are our own worst accountability partners because we make up excuses so easily, like, oh, I just got really tired, or, oh, I didn't have time for that today. Well, when you have somebody with you saying, hey, you've got this, I'm checking up on you, and I'm making sure that this is something that you're going to honor because your word is valuable. It makes a really big difference in how it is that you're able to really accelerate and keep yourself in that forward momentum. And so the accountability with the acceptance really is all about, you know, enabling you to see that you have this beautiful clean slate. And in order to have that or when you have that clean slate, you're able to move into the B, which is building that incredible life that you get to envision for yourself. So you're now, putting the bricks back onto the foundation over, it doesn't matter that the old rug was slipped out from underneath you. There is still some ground there that you get to build a stable new future from. And so many people get scared about the blank canvas, and I used to. I was like, start over what? I'm 40 what? Like, I have to do what? And finally came to understand the blessing in this. Like, how many of us get to start over? How many times do you get to rewrite your story? And it's not that I'm saying everybody out there should go get a divorce and rewrite your story. What I'm saying is that you, regardless of whether you're going through divorce or not, you always have the power to change your story. And it's about, coming from a place of compassion and having grace for yourself for what you've experienced, what you've been through, and to really step into that self-forgiveness, right? With compassion. Forgiveness isn't about, believe me, I did not grasp the whole forgiveness concept. It was really hard for me because anytime I heard the word forgiveness, I was like, he is never going to get my forgiveness. How dare he forgive him? And it took me a while to understand, no, Wendy, this has to do with you forgiving yourself. Meaning, I forgive myself for not opening my eyes. I forgive myself for not verbalizing my concerns when the signs were there. I forgive myself for showing up the way that I did. I forgive myself for picking fights to try to get attention. And until you're able to really, I just got chills. Until you're able to really step into that self-forgiveness with compassion place, you can't build from that new foundation, right? But it's meant to be something where you have the power to do things differently. What do you want to do differently next time? How are you going to show up differently? What are you not going to tolerate the next time around? And it's beautiful what it is that you get to create. I've created the most magnificent life for myself. My clients have done the same. Diane, you have done the same. And we're all standing here on the other side having felt what every single one of you guys are feeling with any life transition that you've gone through. But there's a way for you to convert that pain into living into a more heart-centered purpose, a more heart-driven life that you want to live through instead of, feeling obligated to be in the one that you have. And so I hope that inspires people, but that's really what my 5 steps are all based on. Diane, you are muted.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. That was really, really powerful. And you're right, it is a process. It's thank you for spelling those out. And it is a journey, and it is first and foremost your decision and your choice on how you want to live and how you want to feel. And I'm so grateful that you're doing the work that you're doing out there, Wendy, because it's very, very powerful. And right, with divorce rates this high, women really, really need this. I have certain friends who are still talking about their ex. I'm like, oh my God, move on, move on.
Yeah.
But it's not always easy. So thank God that there are people out there like you, like me, like offering these opportunities for you to really heal, move on, empower yourself, understand yourself, what's really important to you, and how do I want to live? How do I want to feel? What kind of relationship do I want in my life? Maybe the thing that I want in my life right now is just to love all over me and figure out me. And there is no wrong way to do that. The only wrong thing is to stay stuck and to be in inaction. That is truly the only thing you can do wrong. So, well, thank you so much for being here. I want to let everyone know how our audience can find out more information about you. We've got a ticker with your banners here that is coming up right now. So we have your website at wendysterling.net, wendysterling.net. On social media, it's Divorce Rehab with Wendy. And YouTube is a long link. So,
It's my podcast. So it's the Divorced Woman's Guide is my YouTube channel.
oh, the Divorce Women's Guide is a YouTube channel. So
Yes.
make sure to follow Wendy everywhere. And I'm so grateful to have you on the show and be here with you on this journey together, empowering, inspiring, and educating women to live to their highest, greatest, fullest potential. I so appreciate you. So
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thanks, Diane. Thanks for having me. And thank you for doing the work that you're doing today. And I'm so incredibly grateful our paths crossed.
Me too. Me too. All right. Have a beautiful today.
You too. Thank you.
She's such a great example of, how to take what life gives you and use what you've learned along the way to help and serve others. Just like me, she walked away from her big corporate job, me too, to do what she's doing. And it's not ever easy. It's scary, and that's okay. It can be full of so many surprises and challenges and wonderful gifts for you. So be sure to follow Wendy Sterling. All right, with our last few minutes, to a couple quick things. First things first is I want to give you a word of the week this week. And our word of the week that I want you to get rid of and replace is the word rejected. Rejected. So rejection is really redirection. That's not the word I want you to replace it with, though. Rejection is always the universe's way of redirecting you for something better. And so, what if you never said that word anymore? You didn't even think that word anymore. You never felt that way before. If you just wiped that word out of your vocabulary and instead replaced it with recovered, recovered. I'm recovered from everything that's ever happened to me. I'm on my way to recovery. I'm feeling better. I'm feeling more inspired. I'm able to do anything that I want, and I can recover from anything and everything. Anything in my past is no longer happening to me anymore. So I can recover from anything. I am no longer going to focus on being rejected. So that's our word of the week. Now, before I get into our live mantra meditation, which we do every week, where I take everything that we learned today and incorporate it so that it can really sink in and anchor and pierce your soul and consciousness, I want to share one more word with you, one more message with you, and then we'll do our meditation. So stick around. Hi there. So are you ready to become a TV personality? Well, if this is something you've been thinking about, then I have an opportunity for you. But first, let me tell you who this is for. This is for you if you are a woman professional, you're over 40, and your business is going well, and you want to add TV hosting to your list of talents. You're also very passionate about helping women with the work that you do. You want to be known as the go-to expert in your niche, and you feel like you're ready to add TV hosting. You just don't know how to do it. Well, I'm Diane Forster, and I am hosting a free masterclass called Launch and Host Your Own TV Show, where I am going to teach you the system that builds your credibility. It teaches you how to attract clients, customers, advertisers, sponsors, and audience. It also will help you get on other people's stages and audience and really build your credibility as a celebrity in your industry. And you can do it in 4 easy steps in about 4 hours a month. Now, I have 40 years background in advertising and media sales. And when women kept asking me, I want to do what you do, I took that sign seriously. And so I created it in this simple, easy to follow masterclass. And it's absolutely free. So go to dianewebinar.com to register to get into this free masterclass while it's available. And again, this is for you ladies if your business is already successful, but you're really ready to add TV hosts to your list of talents and start serving the world in a much bigger way. So I'll see you inside the masterclass. Take care. Bye-bye. All right, be sure to get in there, dianewebinar.com, if you'd like to have your own TV show and host it. If you've got messages to get out there, Now is the time to do it. It's never been a better time. All right, we're going to do a very quick meditation. We've only got a couple minutes left in the show. So I'm going to shortcut it a little bit. Put your feet flat on the floor and your hands on your lap. If you're driving, obviously you can't do this. Don't close your eyes. Just listen to the words. I'm going to ask you to breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in for 4 seconds. Hold it for 8. Breathe out for 8. Do it 2 times. Here we go. Close your eyes. Breathe in for 4. Hold it for 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Blow it out for 8. Do that one more time. I explain in my book I have today why we do it this way. Breathe in for 4. Hold it for 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Blow it out for 8. And listen to the words. I have today to love my life. Something really good is going to happen to me today. I can feel it. Miracles big and small. I notice them all. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. I have today to start where I am and live a life that is true to me and for me. I have today to recover from my past and create a wonderful future. I am strong. I am powerful. I am loving. I am worthy, and I am deserving. I set healthy boundaries in my life. I know my values. I know that I am not a victim to my past or stuck where I am. And I know that the only opinion that matters, first and foremost, of me is my own. I don't worry what other people will think. I know that when I live a true, authentic expression of myself and release pain from the past, healed in the best way possible, I have the opportunity to show up in the world and be an example, not only of how I want others to view me, of how they want to view themselves. That's my power. My journey has taught me this. I use my life experiences to help and serve others, just like Wendy does, just like Diane does. Me too. I am no victim. I am worthy, deserving, powerful, and I have today to literally live any way I want. Any way. I am the one in the power. I was born, therefore I'm deserving. The only limits I put on myself are the ones that I put on myself. The universe doesn't do that to me. So I can heal in every area of my life, but particularly when it comes to relationships and divorce, in the fastest, easiest way possible, so that I can step up and live a life beyond my wildest dreams. And so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for being here today at I Have Today. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and on Facebook and on our podcast. Follow us on social media at Diane Forster Official. Have a beautiful today, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.